This is Mower 48. I have located the man in question. Over. Excuse me, sir. The race ended 48 hours ago. And on behalf of Talladega Superspeedway, I'm going to have to ask you to vacate the premises. I got a whole crew out here. It's trying to mow. And clean up your area. It was Earth Day on Friday after all. Have some respect.
The Talladega boys raced the whiskey and gold flash. Now here's to turning up and slowing down because it goes real fast. We were laughing and living, drinking and wishing and thinking as that checkered flag was waving. Sure would like to stay Talladega.
Hello, and welcome back to the AAA Race Show. I am your host, Austin Aziz, wheelman for hire, coming to you from the Stag Studio with my co-host here, Jimmy. And before we get the show underway, I think I'm losing my voice a little bit, so just kind of bear with me there. It doesn't sound so great today. But I did get to go out to Twister Alley Raceway this past weekend. Had a lot of fun at their Junior Boogeyman event. They put on a great show. They had string lights up, blow-ups for Halloween decorations. It was so cool to see everyone out there. They have 53 junior entries, big fields of karts and quarter midgets. It was really cool to be out there at Twister Alley Raceway. Really good racing, though. I was there. I was racing. So we did have someone, Jackson Smith, took a wild ride in Junior 1 class in the number 72 kart. Took a wild ride, got hit in the back of the head by a car's bumper. And he got transported to the hospital by an ambulance. He is okay, though. And ended up just having some deep bruising at the back of his neck there. So thankful that he's okay. And glad to see just how well Twister Alley Raceway gets everyone there. It's all the people there so fast. They have Butterfield Fire and Rescue there, and they can have an ambulance there within 10 minutes. So they do a great job with keeping everyone safe, and you know if that's the right place to be hurt at if you're going to get hurt. But we did have all three series racing in the NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega. Start off with the Truck Series, and where we start off with, well, you'll see. Dang, that's a doozy. Dang, that's a doozy is brought to you by D&D Welding. D&D Welding out of Buffalo, Missouri at 417-267-2224 can take care of all of your metal working needs. If it's made out of metal or you need it made out of metal, D&D Welding and Fabrication are the guys to go to. D&D is out of Buffalo, Missouri, so take all of your metal problems to them. Start off with Dang, that's a doozy. Justin Anderson, his car catches on fire after a wreck at Talladega. He's heading towards the infield wall. He's told to get out of the car because the cockpit's on fire. Doesn't know how fast he's going or that he's going towards the wall. He ends up getting halfway out of the car before he hits the wall. He pops up out of the car. Thankfully, he was okay. Just 7th-degree burns. That could have been a lot worse. He could have got his head stuck in between the wall and the car, and that would not have been good, but thankfully he was okay. And let me show you the picture there. There you guys go. Now you can see how there's fire, and that would mean that there's probably a lot of melted and misshapen parts in there. Now, D&D Welding and Fabrication can take care of that in a jiffy and make those parts look better than new. So they got a couple off weeks here. They take that car up to D&D Welding, get that thing looking brand new real quick. So D&D Welding, I'm sure they could take care of that in a jiffy. But Matt DiBenedetto is able to go and get his first NASCAR win. So congratulations to Matt on that. Xfinity AJ Allmendinger wins by 15 1/1000ths of a second, 0.015. That's not a lot of room, and he's able to make it work. AJ Allmendinger has not had the best luck on super speedways. He's a pretty good super speedway driver, but is always there in the end. Not able to ever get that win, though. He's been leading 3 super speedway events when coming to the white flag and never won any of them. So congratulations to AJ Allmendinger on that big win at Talladega, barely inching out the other guy. The NASCAR Cup Series had a pretty tame race, and not a lot of big wrecks. There's actually no big wrecks. A lot of guys were really racing hard, though. Not a lot of people dropping back. Everyone really going for it. And so I was pretty surprised that we didn't see any wrecks. But had some big pushes coming from behind. Guys, big blocks on people at beginning of stages where, you can sit down and ride for 40 laps and then you try to go battle for the stage. They were wanting to lead every single lap of this thing. But it was Chase Elliott who was able to go get the win. He also won a stage, which my dad is never going to let me hear the end of this. I'm a Kyle Larson fan. He's a Chase Elliott fan. And they were working great. Kyle Larson was in front. Chase Elliott was in second. Chase Elliott pulls out, passes Kyle Larson. And that just put a smile on my dad's face. And he's never, ever going to let that go. How Chase Elliott beat Kyle Larson in a stage at the line. And, it was a stage. So I'm pretty sure Kyle Larson kind of got cheated out of that one right there by Chase Elliott. But anyways, I believe Kyle Larson won that stage in my mind. So that's all that really counts. Chase Elliott does take the victory, though, after winning that stage. And he is the first driver to win a race and lock himself into the next round of playoffs by winning a race. And glad he did it because he did not have a great race last week at Texas. So he really needed this. He wanted a good points day. Well, he got better than points. He got the race win. And he will be racing in the round of 8. Well, let's head on over to Formula One, which was in Singapore. Not the Max Verstappen Invitational. Finally got another series racing, which I'm excited about. But Perez leads early and Verstappen falls back. It was raining, really slow race. FAA actually changed the race to where from laps to minutes or timed because it was taking so long. And that's not something they normally do. We've seen them do it this year, but there were cars just creeping around the track because it was so slow. And Perez leads a lot of laps. We saw a lot of guys, including Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, drive straight off into the corner because it was so slick. They just lock up the brakes and end up going straight into the corner and smack the wall. It's because, like I said, it's so slick. And we saw some of the best racers in Formula One were doing that. So it was definitely a tough event for these Formula One drivers. But Sergio Perez is able to come home with the victory and win the Formula One race in Singapore. Excuse me. Win the Formula One race in Singapore. So we didn't have Max Verstappen win, but we still did have a Red Bull win. So Red Bull's been stinking up the show over there in Formula One, and we need to get a team that can stop them. Preferably Mercedes. But anyways, let's head on over to IndyCar. IndyCar did not have a race. They won't have one until next year. But I'll let you know on the races that will be next year. there you go. There's the IndyCar schedule, the first half right there. I'll show you some more of it right there. Obviously, the Indy 500, it's going to be awesome. We're not going to see Jimmy out there this time, though. Jimmy is just not racing IndyCar this year. Okay. Jimmy, it's okay. He can go where he's going to race IMSA. We're going to be switching over to IMSA next year for Jimmy. He's been racing IMSA, but he's going to go a little more gung-ho on that. But anyways, that is the IndyCar schedule for next year. It's going to be awesome year next year for IndyCar. I'm really excited to get their season back underway because I do love me some good IndyCar racing. Now, IMSA had their season finale this week. The number 60 Meyer Shank Acura team takes the overall points championship win. Congratulations to them. Plus, they win the race. Elio Castroneves is on that team, and he has been undefeated in winning a championship in IMSA since 2020. That's pretty impressive because those championships you don't come by them easily. That was a lot of news. We had a lot of racing going on this past week, and that concludes IMSA for us. Then we have SRX, IndyCar, and IMSA that is no longer having races. So we're down to NASCAR and Formula One. Not a lot of races left in NASCAR, but thankfully, Formula One does go all the way into November. So we still can be excited about that. We do have local races, of course, will be going on year-round. And it's time for my favorite part of the show, and that's right, folks. It's time for Austin's Absolute, where I look into the future. Future. This week on Austin's Absolute, I will look into the future of the NASCAR Cup Series race at the Charlotte Roval. Let me look into the future. I have it. Ross Chastain will win his first race in the playoffs and secure himself into the round of 8. And that was Austin's Absolute. Well, folks, it sure would be cool to see Ross Chastain go to victory lane. He's already won once on a road course this year. So, my favorite Ross Chastain to win the championship, but Ross Chastain is definitely a favorite going into next week since I did look into the future and saw him winning the race. So, obviously, he's going to win. Well, that's right, folks. It's time to get excited. Get Excited is brought to you by Top Limb Tree Service. If you need a trim, call up Top Limb at 417-880-7867. Toby Sherrill and the crew will come out to your house, take care of all your tree trimming needs. So if you need a trim, call up Top Limb. This week we'll have NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series at the Charlotte Roval to round out the round of 12 for the Cup Series. Formula One will be in Japan. I hope we're going to be getting some California rolls. That would be really good because I do love sushi. And I think that'd just be real nice to have some sushi next week. Locals of Lucas Oil Speedway, USRA Nationals, ninth annual USRA Nationals race next week. This week we had practice on Monday, and it's kind of be going on a week-long thing. There'll be a little bit of racing every day. So make sure you check out Lucas Oil Speedway next weekend. Locals, Lucas Oil will have the my bad. We already said that. Springfield Raceway will have the Cash Money Late Models and their weekly racing next week. It's going to be a really good show. Got a couple more races for Springfield Raceway before that Turkey Bowl comes up, and I'm always excited for that race. It's going to be a really cool event. And as always, make sure you head on over to ORP-TV. Mr. Craig Stagner will tell you all you need to know about all the local races coming up next week and the results, birthdays, and a weather forecast, which I don't really know how you can predict the weather. Summer starts about 9 in the morning, and winter starts about 8 or 9, so it's really hard to predict the weather this time of year. On a more serious note, we had a racing legend here from the Ozarks passed away this past week. Dale Roper passed away on Wednesday, born in 1936, died 2022. He was the oldest of seven kids, and went to Fairgrove High School right here. He won around 200 races, 7 track championships. He was a great guy to be around, great family member. He was known as the Flying Postman because for some reason or not, he always seemed to get done with his mail deliveries an hour or two earlier than everyone else. When he was not racing, he enjoyed officiating Fairgrove High School basketball games, and just a great guy. And they're all prayers and thoughts out to everyone who's mourning with his loss, and just remember all the good he brought into this world. And well, I think that about does it for our show this week. We'll be talking about the Adult Boogeyman next week at Twister Alley Raceway next weekend, and you're going to be excited for that one. That's a big event, last race for Twister Alley. Of course, we're sad because last Saturday was our last event, but the adults classes still got one more race, so make sure you go check them out, and we'll have all you need to know about that race next week on the AAA Race Show, so make sure you tune in for that. And thank you everyone for your support. Please make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And I'm Austin Aziz, Wheelman for Hire, coming to you from the Stag Studio with co-host here, Jimmy. And remember, folks, this show is brought to you by whatever Mom's making for dinner. Have a great rest of your week.
If I gotta drive over the fool in front of me, man, to win, that's just racing.